Before we continue, I just want to open up the phone line. Any questions on putting in the description, the details, putting in those flyers here for your calendar?
What version is this software?
This is the most recent version. I believe it's 5.1.12, and we can confirm that as soon as we get out of this event.
Okay. If you decide not to edit this at this time, what's the best way to get out of it without doing anything to it?
You don't have to. The only things that you really need to put in are these items at the top, in which case you can save and new, save and close. If you just want to close out, so you decide, you know what, we're not going to have this yoga class after all, I'll just choose the X from the top right corner. Just like most programs, if I choose this, it's going to ask me, you know, are you sure you don't want to save this? And then I can obviously close that out. My little hourglass, my computer's thinking today. Again, if we want to try that event again, I'll just double click on the day and go right back to where we were. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Go ahead and mute those phone lines one more time. All right, so we'll pretend we've got our yoga class. And it's in our fitness category, and we'll leave the time morning, that's fine. We also have a number of items here on the left that are options. Recurrence is the second item. Recurrence is here. It basically allows us to say if we're going to have our yoga class every Wednesday or the third Wednesday of every month, any type of pattern that we can recur. And this can be anything from, you know, book close every Monday to your board meetings every fourth, you know, Wednesday of the month, and so on. Actually identical to Microsoft Outlook, so you see a lot of commonalities here. Obviously, the standard is none, but if I choose there to be a daily recurrence, it's every day, every weekday. On the weekly options, I can recur every week or every other week or every third week, for example, on Wednesday. I can also recur monthly. It's all on the 24th, or it's always the fourth Wednesday of the month. You can also recur yearly, and I even have some of them that have put in, you know, those holidays that fall on a day. They're putting in so that every year, you know, we know that, you know, Thanksgiving is the fourth Thursday of the month, that Christmas is the 25th, that Halloween is the 31st, and so on. We're going to set this up to be weekly. We're going to have this every Wednesday. And here at the bottom, we can also set the range. So it's starting on November 24th. I can have it every Wednesday until the end of time, or I can have it end after 10 occurrences, or I can have it end by a certain date. So maybe we're only doing those yoga classes for a month. So I'm going to have that end on December 24th. Every Wednesday between November 24th and December 24th, we're going to schedule a yoga class. Now, a lot of people will ask me, well, we have our yoga classes all the time, but we're not having one this particular week. What I usually find is the best practice is I'll add it as a recurring event, so I'm adding it to all of those Wednesdays for the year, and then I'll simply go to those few Wednesdays that we're not having the class, either due to a tournament, a special event, a holiday, and I'll simply delete that one day. It's a big time saver for me, as opposed to saying, well, it's not really completely recurring, I should do this one at a time. Instead, I'll make it recurring and then just take out those few exceptions. Additionally, you want to pay attention to this time at up top because, of course, this is your recurring time, so it's always going to be from 8 to 8:30. If that's not the case, if you change it here sort of after you've created it, you also need to make sure to change it here as well. Any questions on this recurrence area? Great. We'll go ahead and continue then. The third area here on the left is reservations, and here's where we get into the fun stuff. Reservations can simply be enabled by checking this box here, and then we literally just go through and fill in the blanks. This first tab here is area. What type of area or what class is this going to be in? And this is really important because it connects sort of the point of sale and everything to it. In particular, for this class, I'm connecting it to fitness. Now, a very common issue that I see, sometimes people will be given rights to the event tools, but not given rights to the different areas. So, for instance, you have the ability so that certain employees can only set up dining events or only set up fitness events. But if you do have an individual that's charged with loading your entire calendar, setting up all these reservations, you want to make sure that they have access to all of these areas. And again, the way to do that is to contact your system administrator and have them give you those appropriate security rights. Now, the layout is something that is rarely used. I actually see there is a fitness layout. We see it very often used for dining, if anything. This is how they can actually set up a specific room or space. So considering something like a dining event, if I'm doing this dining event in the blue room, then I know that my typical setup is either 20 round top tables or 4 large-scale square tops. I can actually choose how I'm going to lay out that space if I know it, and then potentially assign people that register to various tables. It's not something that members have the ability to request or assign themselves. It's only something that you have as an administrator, but you do have the option to select a layout. Again, this description is a little bit generic. Normally it would be something like 20 round tops, 40 square tops, etc. You also have a field for location. Sometimes it's not in a specific room or space. Sometimes it's just on the lawn, by the pool. You can put in a description as well to include in your reports and all of your details. This is really all there is for this reservations page, and then we sort of go through this list here and just one by one fill in the blanks. So we're going to go to the next area, which is activity. Looking at this, when do we want to open reservations? This is something that's a class that's going to be on November 24th, but we want people to be able to sign up as early as today. I can actually create, reservations open up so people can register as of October 20th at 8 a.m. So you're able to set both the date and the time. Same thing for closing reservations and stopping changes and cancellations. You want to take note of whatever policies exist at your club. So for example, if you have a 48-hour cancellation policy, we want to make sure and honor that. They have until the 22nd at 8 a.m. to cancel. Same thing for changes. That policy typically is always going to put these two things in the same place. Again, if not, you certainly have the ability to change it. Maybe we're going to let them do it until 24 hours. We're going to close reservations 24 hours or maybe at the end of the day. So lots of different options. You just want to think through when you want to allow people to make reservations. The second tab here is attendees, and we're going to go through this in two parts. The first is just the setup, which is this top area here. In terms of any events, are we going to limit attendance? Something like a club picnic, we might not limit attendance at all, but something like a yoga class, we only have so much room in that fitness room. Maybe we can only accept 20 people. We can't allow a waiting list, though. So once those 20 spots fill up, we can have a waiting list on hold. That way if someone cancels or is a no-show, we can offer them that spot. You also have options here on the right on whether you make the guest list and or the waiting list viewable on the web. I'm always a big fan of doing that. It's great to be able to see who else is attending different events, and it usually generates a lot of buzz, like, oh, the Smiths are going, the Joneses are going, the Boschners are going, and it's nice to be able to just view who else is attending and get excited about joining in with the group. Additionally, you have a third tab here, servers. This is probably not used, I would go so far as to say 98% of the time. If you know in advance what servers, or in this case maybe a yoga class, what instructor is working this event, you can actually assign them. This is going to display on the report, allow them to pick up tickets, etc. For the most part, we don't know this far in advance who's going to be working an event, and that's really the reason why it is skipped most often. You'll see here the server list is going to show all of your employees for ClubSoft. I can choose anyone and add them here on the left. It's very easy to add them and select them, but again, for the most part, we don't know that information until the last minute, and that's why this often is just an empty area.